regularly delay and deny valid claims because that's how they got to be billion-dollar entities.
Jackson, KNXX. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. Glad you're hanging out with us. About half the work week in the rearview mirror. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos and fired up that you are with us. Kentucky's College World Series hopes on life support as they trail Florida in a big way in today's first elimination game, the first of a triple header up there at Charles Schwab Field. Today, we'll get you caught up on all that action as we move forward. LSU baseball has added a bat in the transfer portal. It's What If Wednesday. We'll get to that at the bottom of the hour. Second hour, got a lot to get to. Got a top 100 NFL players of 2024. How many does LSU have represented in the top 100? And how does that compare with some of the other teams and programs in college football? NFL offseason grades from ESPN. I got a lot of College World Series thoughts as well in the second hour that revolve around the future of the sport up there in Omaha based on what we've seen the last 5 years, and the numbers are a little bit jarring, so we'll get to some of that moving forward. But I want to start with football. Saw an article on CBS Sports that was trying to peg some of the second-year players across the country who are set to be breakout stars in 2024. And there are some names that I'm not familiar with, and I doubt you're super familiar with, like Jonel Aguero from Georgia, defensive back, A.J. Harris from Penn State. I'm not aware of him. Justin Haynes is a running back at Alabama. You may know who that is. I don't know a lot about Justice Haynes at Alabama. I do know one of the guys on this list is Lance Hurd, an offensive lineman at Tennessee, and we'll get to that. But the name that comes up for LSU on this list is one that I think really does need to become a breakout star if LSU is going to move forward, specifically on the defensive side of the football in 2024, and that's Deshaun Womack, edge rusher, LSU. I'll read the blurb, and then I'll give you kind of my thoughts on Deshaun Womack and where he sits in the program right now. It says, LSU's defensive issues are well publicized at this point. The Tigers struggled in big games and weren't great at getting after the passer outside of Harold Perkins Jr., who profiles more as a box linebacker with elite pass rushing tendencies. A big leak from Womack, who had a sack and a half in 12 games as a freshman, would be a much-needed salve. Womack, who boasts an explosive first step and has all the tools to be a consistent terror off the edge. Yeah, they're going to need that. I don't have another way to put this. This is a constant refrain for me. And as we get deeper into the transfer portal era of college sports, I may feel a little bit differently as time goes on. But generally speaking, if you're going to have a great team relative to your expectations, whether those expectations are LSU's football team making the playoff, Vanderbilt's team making a bowl game, LSU's baseball team making the College World Series, Kentucky's basketball team going to the Final Four, or LSU's basketball team going to the NCAA tournament, relative to your expectations, one of the biggest keys in any of those sports, no matter what your program is geared toward, is what kind of jump do your big-time recruits that have just finished their freshman year and are moving into their sophomore year, what do they become? That is almost all you heard me say in January about this LSU baseball team. And we know what some of those results were. And consequently, LSU wasn't great in baseball this year. And I feel that way about Deshaun Womack with this LSU football team because they have got to find someone, anyone, to rush the passer. It was almost a non-issue last year. Like, they just didn't do it at all. You had quarterbacks sitting back there with all day. You had wide receivers running wide open. You had huge holes in the running lane. There was nothing on defense that LSU did well, and certainly rushing the passer, not one of those things that they did well. Harold Perkins led the team in sacks with 5.5. He didn't even play on the line of scrimmage all the time. The guys that did, not very productive. Talking about on the interior, like Jordan Jefferson, 2.5 sacks. Okay, great. Mason Smith, 2.5 sacks. Okay, great. Guys on the edge that you thought might be a real force. Ovie Gofu, 2.5 sacks. Savion Jones, 2.5 sacks. Savion Jones was the guy I was having this discussion about last year. He's got to be the next guy. It was Arden Key, and then it was Calevon, and all of a sudden you need somebody to step up and really be a force off the edge. You've lost, I'm blanking on his name, Georgia product. Older brother played at Georgia. Edge rusher for LSU. Went early in the draft, and I just don't have it. I'm sure the Bayou Ford chat will hit me with it. I cannot believe that name escaped me, but you'll get the picture. We'll get back to it in a second. Savion Jones was the guy I was talking about having to fill in and make those plays on the edge. He did not do that very much. He had 3.5 tackles behind the line of scrimmage last year. Just simply not good enough. And I don't know if you can expect him to make that jump from his sophomore year to his junior year. That would be great if that did happen. And maybe with better coaching and more consistent coaching, that can happen. But I don't know if I'm going to bank on it. I'm hoping to bank on Deshaun Womack, who had all the characteristics of an elite edge rusher coming into his freshman year. But I don't expect a freshman to be B.J. Ojulari. There it is. Just could not come up with it. I had his brother at Georgia. I knew where he played high school. I knew he was an early round pick, and I couldn't come up with B.J. Ojulari. There it is. But point being, like, Deshaun Womack had all the pedigree, but I don't expect you to come in as a true freshman and set the world on fire. Like, that's not really realistic. But with more time in the weight room, more reps against elite level players, and let's be real honest, in the spring and in fall camp, like, everybody on LSU's defensive line is going to get some really quality reps against really good offensive linemen. I can't speak to exactly what USC's offensive line looks like today, but I'm confident that it's not much better than LSU's. So you're going to get a great look early in fall camp at what elite level offensive line play looks like, and those guys have got to come through it a little bit. And maybe we're underselling the massive amount of unrest with LSU's defensive line coaching over the last 20 months. And maybe now that there's one voice in that room for the season that was brought here for that purpose, maybe that message comes through, that coaching is clearer, and that development is more rapid. Maybe that's the case. But Deshaun Womack, I am very, very hopeful, takes a huge jump and becomes a huge piece to what LSU's doing defensively. You look at the guys they've got on the edge. Braden Swinson, Savion Jones, Gabe Relaford, Harold Perkins, Paris Shand, and then Deshaun Womack. I'm going to need somehow, some way to get 12, 15 sacks out of that group. And that's not an astronomical amount. I'll just try to, if I can get out of Harold Perkins 7, he had 5.5 last year. If I can get 7 out of Perkins, that's half. I can get 4.5 out of Swinson, 3 out of Savion Jones, 6.5 out of Deshaun Womack, maybe 1 out of Relaford and 3 out of Shand. I mean, how many did I just come up with? That's 10, 11, 17.5, 20. That's 24 sacks. And none of those numbers are jaw-dropping. I barely asked Harold Perkins to top his best. He's a third-year player. The only guy I asked for a big jump out of there is Deshaun Womack. I didn't ask for a big jump out of Savion Jones. I asked for a half a sack more. I asked for a sack and a half more from Braden Swinson. Paris Shand's going to get more reps. Give me 3 to 4 sacks. But Womack could be that feared rusher. And all of a sudden, if Womack develops and is the breakout that they're talking about in this CBS article, and Perkins is on the other side on these 3rd and 11s, on these 3rd and 7s, and you now have guys on both sides that are a problem, well, you can start to see where LSU's defense might improve. It has to improve. If it doesn't, I can't watch it for another fall. But we're trying to find any piece here and there that takes you a step up and takes you a step up. And we're just trying to get to slightly above average. We're trying to go from the worst in the history of the program to slightly above average. I'm not shooting for just below average because let's be frank, like I don't sit here and get ready for an LSU football season in August so that they can go to the Citrus Bowl. Like that's not why I'm here in August. And we're in year 3 under Brian Kelly. I'm trying to make the playoffs. Whether or not I think today that's going to happen doesn't matter. We're just talking about expectations. And to get to the playoffs and to get to 10-2 and to win some of these huge games on your schedule, your defense needs to be better than mediocre. Not saying elite. I don't need the 2019 defense. I don't need the 2011 defense. I don't need the 2003 defense. I love it, but I'm not expecting it. I need a little above average defense. And you can clean a lot of things up on defense if you can get back there, affect the quarterback, create negative plays, create turnovers. If one guy on the defensive front flat wins his battle, you can cover up for a couple of missed assignments with the other 10 guys. It happens pretty quick. So, yeah, I don't expect this LSU secondary to look like the no-fly zone of 2011. I don't see Mo Claiborne and Thorold Simon and Ron Brooks and Tyrann Mathieu and Eric Reed and Brandon Taylor walking right through that door. But they don't have to be that if you can create some pressure. And it's not like I'm asking walk-ons to come in and make that happen. Harold Perkins was a 5-star. Deshaun Womack was a 5-star. Gabe Relaford, 4-star. Savion Jones was a high 4-star. Give me a little more production in that pass rush. CBS Sports seems to think that LSU may have something in Deshaun Womack. I'm hopeful. And we'll see pretty quickly out of the chute because USC is probably going to throw it a lot in that game in Vegas. So we'll see. If you want to check out that entire article, you can certainly do so over on CBS Sports. LSU baseball got an ad in the transfer portal. What does it mean? Where's he going to play? Who is it? All those kind of things coming up next on this Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Just talking a lot of football there. Football season will be here before you know it. If you want to make your home the place to watch all the games, Audio Video Security Solutions can help you out. They're happy to mount your television. They can supply that television, and potentially you could do pretty well on the pricing there if you give Mitchell Fisher and his team a call. You can also do your whole home audio. It can be as simple as mine is. I'm not super technical, so if they just put some speakers up there that I can control with my app, and I'm happy with that, they can voice automate yours. And one of the cool features that they can do over at Audio Video Security Solutions is sync all of your speakers throughout the home to one television so that you only get one sound. All the time you go to a game watch party, some people are in the kitchen, some people are in the living room, and you've got the sound that doesn't match up, and one room sees it before the other and hears it before the other. Not with Audio Video Security Solutions. You can sync all that sound up so as you walk from the kitchen where all the food is into the living room where all the comfy seats are, you've got the same sound, and there's some integrity to what you're watching and listening to. It's awesome, awesome stuff, and not stuff I knew anything about, but Mitchell Fisher and his team do. So give him a call at 225-439-7920. Again, 225-439-7920. It's Audio Video Security Solutions. Check them out online at avssla.com.
Get the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge app powered by Bayou Ford and tap the microphone icon to send us your thoughts in an audio message. Your message could be played on air during Off the Bench with Esther and T-Bob, The Hunt Palmer Show, and after further review with Matt Moscone.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Hey, it's Matt Moscone. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further. like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's AFR, presented by Pluckers. MLB Draft Combine going on. We'll tell you how the Tigers are doing. Plus, it's a Whiskey Wednesday, Pluckers Trivia. Lots to do. Join us, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Florida is all over Kentucky 15-4 as they play in the 8th inning up in Omaha. Kentucky's trip going to be cut a little bit short. Florida is going to move on to face Texas A&M a little bit later this evening. Of course, the Tennessee Vols looking to punch their ticket to the final coming up in a couple of hours. We'll get you posted on all that here as we watch from inside the studio. I want to talk a little LSU baseball here as the Tigers got some more good news earlier this morning with a transfer portal commit from Eddie Yaman. Eddie Yaman is a well, let's stop there. Because you look around, you can see him listed as a lot of different positions. I've seen catcher labeled there. I've seen first baseman labeled there. I've seen outfielder labeled there. I checked in with a source inside the program. I said, what's the kind of thought process with where Yaman fits in defensively? And I got the answer, excuse me, hitter. That's what I got. They love his bat, but more specifically on the defensive side of things, he does add depth at catcher. He does add depth at first base. That's where he played the vast majority of his time at Dayton, and he's athletic enough to play in the corner outfield spots. He's not going to play center field, but he can play left and right field if need be as well. Yaman is a high ceiling player. He's 6'5". He's over 200 pounds, and after playing kind of sparingly as a freshman at Dayton, was their everyday first baseman this past season. He hit .342 at Dayton with 13 home runs. He drove in 54. Walk rate kind of low with only 20. Strikeout rate okay, a little bit high at 59. But it's a big upside in his big kid. And I was hopeful when I saw the name, because I'll be quite honest with you, I'd never heard of Eddie Yaman until today, so I can't tell you that I've scouted him at Dayton until I read about this morning, but I saw a catcher labeled next to me and said, ooh, that's exactly what LSU needs, a catcher that might be able to hit 13, 14, 15 home runs for you, because as you know, I've been talking for a week and a half, I'm looking for home runs from somewhere. He's not going to be LSU's everyday catcher. Right now, the hope, I think, for LSU is that Priester gets here and that Cade Arambidi gets here, and Blaze Priester and Cade Arambidi are your kind of main two catchers. Ethan Fry is not out of the mix at that position, but those are probably the two. It would not shock me if LSU went to the portal and found a good defensive catcher as an insurance policy to take Milazzo's place here, but I do not expect Yaman to be the everyday catcher for this LSU team. Doesn't mean he can't do it. I just don't expect him to be that type of guy. This is someone who can play first base, can DH, can play a corner outfield spot, and can swing the bat with some authority. They're starting now to bring enough guys in that have home run potential to make me feel a little bit better. None of these guys are Tommy White. None of these guys are Jared Jones, and we'll talk a little bit about him at the end of this hour and how he's performing out at the MLB Draft Combine. But you start to look at, and I'll call them lottery tickets, because lottery tickets are just that. You might have a huge hit. It might be a bust. maybe it's somewhere in between, but you're kind of looking for a hit and it could be a bust. But if you have enough of them, you just need one or two to net out. And if you've got Luis Hernandez, who hit 20 home runs last year, and you've got Stephen Milam, who showed power late in the season, and you've got Yamin, who hit 13 home runs last year and is 6'5" and has some real pop in his bat, then you've got Josh Pearson, who has shown some power over 3 years at LSU. Ashton Larson has got a frame to build out, maybe grows into some power. Blaze Priester could show up here and certainly swung the bat with a lot of authority in junior college. And then you've got two signees that I think profile as power hitters in Schmidt and Fountain, one a JUCO, one a high schooler. Fountain set the Nebraska record for home runs. I just routed off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys. And if 4 of them show real power for their position, then that makes me feel a little bit better. I don't know who's going to play third base. I don't know who's going to play first base. I don't know who's going to be the DH. I'm not certain on catcher. There are a lot of things that go into this in terms of positions and age and development and all kind of things like that. But I can start to see a path for a little more slugging potential on this team now that you've gone to the transfer portal and added some guys. Again, I would love it if LSU went and got the ACC home run leader. Like, that would be great. I would love it if they went and got the National Freshman of the Year like they did 2 years in a row, but that doesn't appear to be on the table. There are a couple more guys that they're certainly courting, and we'll talk about that as time moves forward. There are some guys that are looking to visit schools that are still playing baseball and aren't hosting recruits on campus right now, so you got to wait a little bit. We're still not to the end of this process with the baseball transfer portal, but you've added some older guys to go around the young core that you're looking at, and maybe there's a little pop. I mean, I didn't mention Michael Braswell in this. I didn't mention Jake Brown in this because I don't see those guys as thunderous power hitters in the college baseball season of 2025. If I'm wrong and Jake Brown grows into a 19-homer guy next year, I will be super pumped about it. But I don't know that that's his profile at this point. The profile for Hernandez and Yamin is power. The profile for Schmidt and Fountain is power. There is power in Josh Pearson's bat from time to time. Like, I'm just trying to match up for here and there. And we'll talk about Jared Jones. Well, let's just talk about Jared Jones now. We can do that now because we're talking about Pop. I think most of you that are listening, that are certainly paying attention to this transfer portal stuff, know yesterday that Jared Jones put on a mega show at the MLB draft combine. And that's not surprising at all. You get that dude with that body in a batting practice session with no breaking balls coming, he's going to hit it to the freaking moon. We already know that. The MLB scouts already know that. The cross-checkers already know that. The GMs already know that. Like, this is not a surprise. So I'm not looking at Jared Jones's combine effort yesterday and going, uh-oh, we're toast. He did exactly what we knew he was going to do. Every once in a while, somebody goes to the combine and runs a 4.28, and you're like, oh, really? Every once in a while, somebody goes to the combine and jumps 43 inches, and you're like, what? This is not that. This is a guy whose profile is power, whose issue is potentially pitch recognition and missing on the breaking ball, seeing no breaking balls and creating bat speed, launch angle, and exit velo, and he's awesome at all of that. So that was not news. But you get the sense of where this is going. And it's the same thing that I said 2 weeks ago when we came back and talked about the MLB draft as it related to LSU, and we talked about Herring, we talked about Jones, we talked about Braswell, and we talked about Pearson. And the fact of the matter is that I believe Jared Jones' profile is not going to change at LSU and that he's going to go. Yesterday did not have that sink in for me because it already had, but I think it does for some people now that you realize what Jones' profile is. And you've got guys who maybe haven't seen him in person who are watching this going, oh. And they're just learning what we already know. So I don't expect Jared Jones to come back. And I don't know that that's exactly the feeling in LSU's baseball office, but they certainly have to be proceeding at this current juncture over the next 3 weeks like he's not going to be back. And if he is, fan-freaking-tastic. But you cannot wish and hope and try to rub a lucky penny and find a rabbit's foot in your back pocket and just hope that all these teams bury their head in the sand and don't take Jared Jones and he comes back. I just don't think that's going to be the case. So as I look to analyze what LSU's team's going to look like on paper, I'm not including Jared Jones in that. If I can dump his 28 home runs right back into my equation, I'm happy to do it. And you'll hear my tune change a little bit on how this team looks in terms of a championship level contender. But they're starting to add enough guys that can swing the bat with authority that makes me feel a little bit better. I was talking to Tiger Rag Radio last night, did a hit, and I said, look, fact of the matter is I don't feel as good about LSU today as I did when they got on the bus to go to the stadium and play North Carolina 2 Mondays ago. That team with Holman and Jump and Herring and Guidry and Hurd and Ackenhausen plus White and Jones, that team looks better to me on paper than the one I'm looking at profiling LSU in 2025. But you still got time to make things happen, and you still got development that could happen. Some of these guys you bring in could be studs. You just never really know. But I want LSU to continue to add power, and I think with the add of Yamin, you've absolutely done that, or you're definitely on that track. I can't say you've absolutely done that because that's incorrect. He could be a guy that the game doesn't translate from the A-10 to the SEC. He strikes out way too much. He only hits 4 home runs, and you haven't done what you were trying to do. But I think when I can rattle off 8 guys that might be 12 homer guys, and I need 4 or 5 of them to get to 12 home runs, I feel like I've got a fighting chance, better than I did, 3 weeks ago. So not necessarily a guy that I think is going to factor in behind the plate, not necessarily an elite defender, but a good athlete, a guy that adds depth at first, outfield, both corner spots, and DH. That's what you're bringing in, and hopefully that 342 batting average where he got on base at a 429 clip, which is very good, slugged at 608, which is excellent, OPS over 1,000, 13 home runs, and 24 doubles. That's some good stuff there. So hopefully this is a guy that can stick somewhere on a corner and slug for you. Certainly got the profile to do it at 6'5", long limbs, long levers, and produced there at Dayton. So fired up about that. It's a Wednesday. It's the middle of the first hour. We'll do What If Wednesday coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Visit LeBear's Baton Rouge Casino this summer for exciting live sports action. We got the biggest screens around, and ESPN Bet is live in Louisiana. Plus, Pin Play Rewards members can win up to $500 Pin cash every single week. So visit pinplaysports.com/cover5, that's the number 5, today, and register for your chance to play and win. If you're not a member, no big deal. Get the Pin Play app today. You can head over to LeBear's Baton Rouge Casino. It is your live sports headquarters. Bring your crew for all the action. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner
Thursday edition of Live at Lunch, live at the original Walk-Ons on Burbank. We're loaded down with guests, getting you ready for the weekend. 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., Live at Lunch, live at Walk-Ons on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Some interesting conversation in the Bayou Ford chat that I'll address before we get into What If Wednesday, because I think it's reasonable to have the discussion. I'm getting some pushback. Stephen Miller, one that says, I'm just having a hard time getting all excited about LSU pulling these lower level transfers. Of course, you've got guys from Indiana State and Wofford and pulling guys from Dayton, and I understand that sentiment. Like, absolutely, 100%, I understand that sentiment. When you're thinking about guys like Luke Holman from Alabama, and you're thinking about Tommy White from NC State, and you're thinking about Gage Jump from UCLA, and Jacob Berry from Arizona, and I absolutely would prefer that profile. I'm not talking about specific players, but that profile. I would prefer all league guys from the Pac-12 or the ACC over lower level guys. But the fact of the matter is, like, it's an inexact science, and every single year you can point to different guys from lower levels that come in and become stars. And I'm not suggesting that any of these guys are definitely going to be some of the guys I'm going to rattle off here, but you understand that this happens very, very regularly. I mean, and these are just names that I'm coming with off the top of my head. I'm not even doing any research here. But obviously Paul Skeens went to Air Force. Now, he was a Team USA guy, so that's a big deal. But you can look at other guys around the country. Sonny DeShara at Auburn was from Samford. A&M's got two guys from the Ivy League in their lineup every day right now, and they're maybe the favorite to win the national championship. Chase Dolander came from Georgia Southern. Y'all remember LSU saw Shea Sprague from UNC, UNC's number 2, who ended up beating LSU in that marble game. He spent 2 years at Elon. And you can continue to look at guys with that kind of profile year after year after year. I mean, the most consistent pitcher that Mississippi State had this year was Cal Steven. He was at Purdue. I'm not here to suggest that's some sort of powerhouse of a program. Again, I'm just picking stuff off the top of my head here. I think I put another name in the Bayou Ford chat here. Oh, and then A.J. Causey has been the best pitcher for Tennessee this year, and they got him from Charleston Southern. So, like, there are plenty of guys that can come from the lower level and absolutely work when they're given something they've never been given before. You look at some of these guys. have never had the resources behind them that LSU will provide. They've never had the ability to practice in warm weather in January and February and hit in warm weather in January and February and March. Like, I can imagine hitting at Indiana State and Dayton, where Yamin and Hernandez have been the last 2 years, is not a lot of fun in March and April. I watch a lot of Cubs games in April. It's not pleasant. So, again, I don't know if these guys are going to be great or not, and I would prefer it if we could take Bama's Friday night guy every year and the national freshman home run record holder like Tommy White every year. That would be better. But I'm just saying, I'm not willing to just completely dismiss the lower level guys in baseball. In football, I have a really hard time with it. Like, you bring me a bunch of D2 guys in football, sure. The Schrader kid at Missouri was fantastic, but like that's tough. And for me, like I said that when we pull a Grand Valley State defensive tackle, like I don't mean to slight the kid, and maybe he's fantastic. Maybe he's Jared Verse, because it can happen. But like that's a tougher jump than the baseball jump. And I mean, I can point to basketball. Dalton Connect was pretty good at Tennessee from northern Colorado or wherever the heck he was. So I'm not like poo-pooing the entire thing. Like, it is a reasonable thing to go, man, these guys are from where? But I would just remind you that like there are a lot of guys who come from where and become really, really good every single year. And I'm hopeful that some of these guys become that. And that some of the younger players in LSU's roster develop the way that we certainly hope that they do. So we'll see. At this time of year, in June, when the season's already over and I'm moving into next year, I'm going to try to be fairly optimistic. I'll give you my absolute takes come the fall and then when they start the season again. But I'm not going to completely dismiss all these guys because they come from smaller schools. We'll see. All right, let's play some What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
All right, first one here. What if you could be one animal for a day?
Is it bad that my first thought was my lazy cat who lays on the couch all freaking day? Because I could lay on the couch all day for a day. I don't think I'd want to do it for 20 years like this cat is. But
that's
like,
the thing, man.
That's a pretty good existence that Teeny's got at the moment.
For a day, yeah, because a day would be good, I think. But
I mean, my real animal is probably going to be some sort of eagle, and I'm just going to soar and like stay above the food chain. I can't be like some sort of wild cat in the desert because like I don't want something I don't see coming to try to kill me. And I feel like an eagle doesn't really deal with that very much, and I would really like to fly. But if we're just talking about, just spending the day, like my couch is a pretty good spot. When I got sick a couple of weeks ago, I did that for a day. And Teeny does that every day. So I could probably handle that.
It is nice. However, I think cats sleep like 80% of the day. So you're like, it's nice to just not do anything, but you're literally not going to do anything for
Again, not a 20-year deal, but maybe a one day.
Maybe for a day, yeah. But I feel like you can do that as a person too.
You
like,
could, but
it's not really that helpful. I mean, cats are pretty cool, but still, being that. But for me, I think I would actually be something similar to an eagle, but I would say a duck because they can also swim. So not only can you fly wherever you want, but then you can also go swimming, and I think it would be pretty fun to do that.
There's some ducks out near my house that are going to get some
duck hunting season.
Well, I wouldn't do it.
This is a one day.
This is one day.
I'm not going to. That's a reasonable point.
I'm not going to do it.
Sky,
I'm not going to do it during duck season. So
although around South Louisiana, it may not be duck season. You may be under fire. You just never know. If you fly over the wrong spot, and it could be the end of your day real quick. Very fair point by Cat.
Yeah, good point. All right, moving on here. What if you could pick up one common hobby?
This is the thing about me, like, and it's a flaw of mine, I know, but I'm not that curious. And that's why, like, I just kind of do the exact things that I want to do. I like golf. I like one kind of beer. I like one thing on TV. It's sports. Like, I don't, and so, like, a lot of hobbies, like, I don't generally have that much interest in. I don't really want to, like, roast my own coffee beans or collect things that people collect. I don't know what they collect. Like, give me an example of a hobby that seems interesting to some people, and I'll probably shout it down. Like, what are we thinking?
Pick up one common hobby. Let's see.
I don't really care about fishing. Like I don't ever want to go deep sea fishing ever again. The extent of the effort that I want to put into fishing moving forward is the bobber goes under the water in the lake and I reel in a little catfish. Like that's all I've got interest in. That is kind of fun, relaxing, drink cold beer while you do it. I have no interest whatsoever in putting in all the physical exertion it takes to reel in some monster marlin or huge tuna or no thank you. I've told this story on air many times, but we did do a little bit of offshore fishing on a family vacation one year, and we had a reasonably large fish on, not a huge trophy thing by any stretch of the imagination, but a reasonable fish on there. And the whole time I was reeling in, I thought, if I'm too sore from this to play golf tomorrow, I'm going to be furious. So like fishing is just not, I don't want, that's too much work for me. I don't want to do that. I'm happy to get on the boat and drink a beer at 5:40 in the morning, like up in the crow's nest type thing. I'm not reeling in the fish. That's not going to happen.
Okay, so there's not any kind of other, there's not anything else.
I mean, travel, I don't really care about that either. Like my wife is just dying to go to Europe to see London and Paris and all that kind of stuff. I could completely leave that right where it is.
Tell me you don't want to go to Scotland, like?
No, I want to go play golf in Scotland. That for sure. But like golf, seeing things, I don't really care about that.
Okay. So there's not something that you've thought about. Man, if I had more time, I'd
What would your answer be?
If I could pick up one common hobby, maybe just like driving, driving through through the country, like travel, but like driving too. I want to see like all the different states and all that stuff. Yeah.
No,
I don't know. That's really a common
too much
hobby,
driving for me. Now, if someone drives me and I'm in some awesome
of course,
RV,
and you can just sit there.
Just sign me right on up.
Yeah.
But like, I don't want to be behind the wheel while we're driving through Utah. That ain't happening either.
Okay. All right. Moving on.
So just more. I'm just. I'm pitiful.
Yeah,
There's
you are.
There are two ways about it.
That's true. All right. Moving on here. What if you had to walk every time you played golf? I think you're going to get even more pitiful here, Hunt.
So it would have severely lessened my play back in like 2018, 19, 20, because I was playing 3-4 days a week, and I would not have done that if I had to walk. At this point, I enjoy playing golf so much, I'd probably go out there and do it. But as I've said many times, when I'm out on the golf course, I am there to do two things. I am there to hit golf shots and drink beers and seltzers. And if I'm walking, it is slowing down that entire process. So I don't like doing that. I want to be in the cart, getting places as quickly as I can, zooming around, got the ice chest in the back. Like, walking is just horribly inconvenient and I think really slow. I'm not out there to get some exercise. And most of the time it's pretty warm out there, and I just want to have like my speakers and my towel and my bags right there, and I've got an ice chest. Like these people that want to walk all the time, we just don't see eye to eye.
For being a golf purist, Hunt, you can't really call yourself a golf purist.
I don't know if I am a golf
elitist.
Purist.
You're a golf elitist.
I don't think I qualify for elitism, quite frankly. I mean, I don't really play that much, but we've invented golf carts. We've made this better. It's like a reason I don't drive a horse and buggy out there in the street. Like, we've found something that does this better.
It's
true.
A cart. However, the sport was meant to be played walking.
In the 1600s.
No, it's
by roofers and guys.
Okay.
No,
I would be fine walking every day. I think it is. It would be good. It would be good exercise, which we all need more of. Okay?
I need a lot more, but it's not coming on the golf course.
All right. Next one. What if you had to switch stations within guarantee?
Oh, that's an easy one because I don't know anything about the news. Haldane does an awesome job on mornings, and Moon Griffon's awesome as well. I don't know what's going on in the legislative session or who's running for governor. Like, that's just out of my league. I can't help there. And I'm just not a rocker. I appreciate those who love Eagle. It's a powerhouse station for us, and Michelle is incredible in afternoons, and Condon's awesome in the morning. But I'm not a super hard rocker. I love country music. Just give me 100.7. I'm there.
You go. Yep. All right. Last one here. What if you had to pick the starting rotation for next year's SEC opening series?
Oh God, this is the question I get. I mean, this thing just starts roaring in come like October. I just get, what's the rotation?
Yep.
Newsflash, I don't know. But if I had to get super ambitious, I would probably say Griffin Herring, Cade Anderson. Right, I'm projecting there. Griffin Herring, Cade Anderson, and Zach Cohen. That would kind of be where I sit. That's two power arm lefties, and then a pitchability athletic right-hander. That kind of feels like it's possible. But there's a lot of guys that can factor in. I didn't mention Chase Shores there, who absolutely could factor in. I did not mention, Heyman, who came in from Indiana State. Like there are other options, but those are the ones that I'm thinking as of right now. So that's it for What If Wednesday. Appreciate you all for getting some questions in via Twitter and YouTube as well. Moving right along here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We'll set the stage for the evening in the College World Series when we come back, as we got a final up there from Omaha. This is the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is that website. I tell you the website every single day. Just go check it out. You can see pictures of their awesome work. You can see the testimonials from their satisfied clients, and you can request that free consultation with David Duvall and his team. It can be so easy. One, you just tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you. He's like, oh, great, that's $1,000 off. And then you can start the process of your brand new bathroom or your customized closets. How many of you wake up in the morning and your closet is just a mess? There's suitcases jammed in there. You've got stuff that's fallen down. You're trying to jam hangers in there. There's no lights. Some closet situations, not great. The house that we lived in as our starter house, not a fantastic situation with the closets. David Duvall and his team can help you with that. Maybe it's a full-scale closet revision and renovation. They can knock walls out like they're licensed contractors. Maybe you've got enough space, you just don't use it efficiently, and David Duvall and his team can come in there and put in some accessories that make your life a lot easier. Maybe make your spouse's life a lot easier. It's One Bath and Closets. Check out the website, onebathandclosets.com. Tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you $1,000 off at One Bath and Closets.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's AFR, presented by Pluckers. MLB Draft Combine going on. We'll tell you how the Tigers are doing. Plus, it's a Whiskey Wednesday, Pluckers Trivia. Lots to do. Join us 3 to 6 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So Florida crushes Kentucky in game one. That started at 10 o'clock this morning up in Omaha. They will play Texas A&M tonight. And I just did some quick note jotting down on Florida's pitching situation. It's not awesome for the Gators. They're probably going to have to hit their way through this thing. And the bad news for them is that A&M's got two stud relievers just standing there waiting for them. We'll see who the Aggies decide to start. But for Florida, it feels like on this Monday that Cade Fisher is unavailable. I mean, this is a Wednesday. Cade Fisher threw 75 on Monday, coming off of 23 on Saturday. So he's thrown 98 pitches already since Saturday. That seems like a lot. Brandon Neely potentially could give them some work today. He threw 45 on Monday. I think that's likely. Liam Peterson threw 64 pitches on Saturday. He's had Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday off. He's available for a little bit today. And then Jack Caglione threw 33 pitches on Monday and wasn't awesome. So it feels like the main guys available for Florida today would be Cags, Neely, and Peterson, with probably Ryan Slater kind of ready to go. Keep in mind, Florida this year has not been great on the mound. They have called on a lot of freshmen to help them. They've kind of looked like freshmen. I think their thought was that Cade Fisher would morph into an SEC ace in his second year, and his ERA was north of 7 for the year. So that hasn't worked out quite as well. Cags has been pretty good. The walks have been an issue, as they always have been. He's walked 50 guys this year in 73 1/3. That's top 5 in the SEC. Neely has been a workhorse for them of late. He pitched a ton in the regional and was a stalwart. He does have a professional future. He's been their closer for 2 years. He's got 5 saves this year. He's thrown 76 innings, which leads the way for Florida. I would imagine that he'll ask for the ball at some point from Sully. Say what you will about Kevin O'Sullivan. I'm not a huge fan of Kevin O'Sullivan's personally, but he's got a great baseball program in terms of wins and losses. And one of the things that he's done an amazing job of is protecting arms. You just don't see Kevin O'Sullivan pitchers go in 131 pitches. You don't see them coming back on 3 days rest and really overexerting themselves. He usually has enough guys to where he doesn't have to worry about that. But Neely's been a little bit of the exception to that. He's gone a good bit this year. So I don't know how much Peterson can give him on Sunday morning on 3 days rest with 64 pitches, probably a little bit. Cags can probably get you 6 to 8 outs. Cags is an interesting situation because he's a dual threat, as we all know, two-way player, but I think he profiles as a hitter. He hit another home run today in the morning game, and I think his future is on the mound. I don't think that means you can just throw him as much as you want in the College World Series because he's a hitter anyway. I'm not saying his future's on the mound. His future's at the plate. I think he's a hitter at the professional level. That doesn't mean, though, that you can just throw him to the wind in the College World Series and say, hey, give us everything you got with your left arm. But that's probably the 3 that they'll go to. A&M, we just don't know. They've kind of thrown their 2 starters. They've got their 2 relievers ready to go. That, of course, is Evan Oschenbeck and Chris Cortez. I don't know what the availability of Jace Laviolette is. We know that Braden Montgomery is not available. And so it's just a matter of what they can do. This is a really, really difficult spot for Florida, but as we've talked about the last 3 days, we've seen LSU do this twice in the last 6 years. We know that you can come out of the loser's bracket. You've just got to get some pitching outings from guys that you haven't counted on as much. We know that Florida's not going to have to go depend on right-handers that throw 84 miles an hour. They probably got a lot of guys that throw 92 out there. They're going to have to get the Nate Ackenhausen outing. They're going to have to get the Griffin Herring outing. They're going to have to get the Javen Coleman outing. They're going to have to get the Caleb Gilbert outing out of somebody and then go hit. And we know they can hit. And that's the one thing about letting the bats kind of wake up in the morning is that Florida's going to feel good when they get to the ballpark. Now, Chris Cortez throwing 100 miles an hour can make you feel not so good really quick. But, Beck, I will ask you this. Florida Gators and the Texas A&M Aggies, not favorites in the Baton Rouge area.
Yep.
Who are you pulling for?
I have to go with the team that I chose to win it all, Hunt.
So it's more important that you're right?
Yep, it is. Because in the end of the day, who cares? Either way, we're screwed.
It's such a lovely way to look at things because it is true, and I'm going to put some numbers behind that in the second hour, very, very unfortunately. This has become an SEC-ACC tournament that is dominated by the SEC, and that has continued as we move forward today. Florida is available, is still alive. They will play Texas A&M. Tennessee still alive, and they will play. Help me out. I can't get there.
Virginia?
No, Florida State.
Florida State, yeah.
Florida State can really hit. So that's my team now. Go Noles. Brooks Koepka, I'm a big fan of his. Love all that. Love to Chief Osceola. Jameis Winston, awesome. Crab legs, the whole thing. Bobby Bowden. Love primetime Deion Sanders as well. Huge fan of the Noles. Take a little pause for SportsCenter. Come back with hour 2 of the Hunt Palmer Show.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, Our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. This just in. LA Sparks forward Cameron Brink, the second overall pick in the WNBA draft, has a torn ACL sustained in last night's loss. She is on the U.S. 3x3 team for next month's Olympics, and a replacement will have to be named for her. The Pistons made a coaching change following a 14-68 season with the third youngest roster in the NBA. They fired coach Monty Williams. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports the decision made by ownership. Williams, who exits Detroit with over $65 million left on his contract, should get another head coaching opportunity, believes three-time NBA champ Udonis Haslem.
He's a hell of a coach. He's very well respected. He's likable. He's one of those guys where he's respected in the locker room. So you have a lot of guys that can do the X's and O's, but do you have the respect of your guys in the locker room? Can you bring those guys together? He's proven to do that. He did that in New Orleans. He can do that.
Woj also reports forward Pascal Siakam intends to sign a 4-year, $189 million max deal to stay with the Pacers. Yankees ace Garrett Cole will make his season debut against the Orioles tonight. He began this season on the injured list with nerve irritation and edema in his right elbow.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Thursday, the NBA offseason is off and running. I'll tell you what team I'm most paying attention to right now. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Half that work week in the rear view mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. I've got some College World Series numbers that may be a little jarring. They were jarring to Musso when I gave it to her a little bit earlier. They're not, the thesis is not jarring. The sheer numbers that I put behind it are a little bit jarring. We'll get to that in a couple of segments from right now. But I want to start with a little football here. Interesting story. Pete Prisco, every single year for CBS Sports, does his top 100 players entering the new season in the NFL. And on top of that, Will Backus of CBS decided that he would go ahead and sort them by college and then see how that stacked up. And I thought that was pretty fascinating. No surprise here that Alabama leads the way. They have 9 guys in the top 100, led by Patrick Surtain, who's number 25. Quinnen Williams is number 29. Jalen Waddle, number 42. Tua is on the list as well at 65. Like, they got 9 guys. There's your top 4. LSU comes in a group at 6 with Oklahoma with the second most. Not Georgia, not Ohio State. It's LSU with 6 alongside Oklahoma. Interestingly enough, 3 of LSU's 6 come in the top 15. That's loud. And it's loud for the program because you got the ability to sell a little bit of that. But to me, it just continues to go back to a chorus that I sing probably 5 times a year. It's a chorus I sing 5 times a year. It's how good that 19 team was. Justin Jefferson on this list, the number 7 player in the National Football League. Jamar Chase, the number 13 player in the national championship game. Those 2 guys were split out on just about every snap in 2019. And the guy throwing it to him, Joe Burrow, was number 15. So, yeah, Bama's got 9 of the top 100, and that's ridiculous. But their starts at 25. LSU's got 3 in the top 15 that were all on the same offense. That's how ridiculous that group was. And every time a list comes out like this, or the contracts come out that we've seen, and Jamar's going to sign for a huge one here soon, The Pro Bowl ballots come out. The All-Pro ballots come out. Madden cover guy comes out. Playoff games are on. Awards are doled out. Anytime that happens and we can bring it back to the 2019 team, I'm here for it. I will discuss it because I like it. And it does not get old to me. So those three guys top the list for LSU. Daniil Hunter, who was not on the team with those guys in 19, comes in at number 35. Derek Stingley was on that team as a freshman. He's number 80. So 4 guys from the 2019 LSU National Champions, top 80 players in the NFL today. That's pretty cool. And then number 92, Beck, I bet you haven't read this whole list. So I'm going to see if you can guess the other LSU Tiger that Pete Prisco has in the top 20. Jefferson at 7, Chase at 13,
Okay.
Burrow at 15, Daniil Hunter 35, Derek Stingley Jr. at number 80. Who would you have? There's one more in the top 100. I would have missed it. And I would have had a pretty good guess with good reasons to back it up, but Prisco disagrees.
Oh, shoot. Devin White?
Not a terrible guess. Not where I was going to go. My guess would have been Lloyd Cushenberry, who just signed the largest center deal ever, which would stand to reason that he might be one of the top 100 players, but he doesn't have it on there. This surprised me a little bit. Pete Prisco, Tyrann Mathieu, number 92.
Interesting.
Do you believe him to be playing at a top 100 level?
No.
I don't know that I do either. Certainly we pay more attention to him than most safeties in the league, and generally speaking, safeties have a lot more lowlights if you're watching closely than highlights because they're the last line of defense. You screw that up, it's pretty noticeable. And Tyrann did force some turnovers last year, but I don't know that I would have had him as a top 100 player in the league, and I would certainly take Derek Stingley over Tyrann Mathieu, and they're only 12 apart. Stingley's ahead of him, but they're only 12 apart. But still, I think that's really good for LSU to have that many guys listed in the top 92, 6 of them tied with Oklahoma for second most in the National Football League. If we kind of flip things over to the New Orleans Saints, how many Saints do you think made the list? Without going through names, how many Saints do you think are in the top?
We know Tyrann Mathieu is on there.
He is,
so
it's
I'll
one.
say 5.
2.
Wow.
2.
I guess I was thinking maybe 4, but 2 is still.
Demario Davis is 50 at 35 years old.
Yep.
Tyrann Mathieu is 92 at 32 years old.
I don't know why I was thinking Cam Jordan would still be on the list. He had like 4 sacks last year, so he's definitely so he's definitely not on there. And then I don't.
There
even
was
know.
one honorable mention that's not in the top 100, but he listed like 20 guys after.
I mean,
that.
Ryan Ramczyk, but he's not going to play. So
no, he's not even on there because he hasn't really played. He's not a top 100 player.
Alvin Kamara or
Paulson Adebo.
Or Marshawn Lattimore. I'm surprised Lattimore's not on there.
He hasn't
played
enough, and it hasn't been super awesome. That's telling. Not that Pete Prisco is
anti-Saints or something,
or that he's like the authority on all things NFL.
Yeah.
That doesn't suggest that there's no chance that any top 100 list would have other Saints. But that is a telling statistic for New Orleans that you look at this and there are 3 guys in the top 125 in the league, and that the 2 of guys that are ranked in the top 100 are 32 and older. That is, if that's not a sign that this needs to flip on its head, and that you don't need to extend Alvin Kamara, and that you don't need to, keep a lot of these guys around, and that you do need to clear money off your books and select more players in the draft, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a sobering spot for the Saints to be sitting there realizing I don't think any of your young players are top 100. They don't think any of your guys that are supposed to be stars are top 100. It's a tough spot. And hopefully Taliesin Fuanga is on this list in 2 years. And hopefully Chris Olave is on this list next year. And hopefully there are some guys that are already here that elevate themselves to that level. But for the Saints to have 2 guys is a little bit puzzling as far as New Orleans goes. I thought the most entertaining part of this, now that we've gotten the local angle out, I was shocked to see how some of these teams shook out. We told you Bama had 9, LSU had 6, Oklahoma tied with LSU at 6. The next team up with 5 is Iowa, the Hawkeyes, who I think of as having no talent whatsoever. They got 5 guys in the top 100. Now, it's kind of funny that it's Tristan Wirfs, who's an offensive tackle, has been with Tampa Bay, number 24. And then you've got 3 tight ends, George Kittle, Sam Laporta, and TJ Hawkinson. Tight end the Iowa Hawkeyes. And then Tyler Linderbaum, who's an awesome center, who it's big boys who get physical at the line of scrimmage is what Iowa's got. And they've got 5 guys in the top 100. If you would ask me to go through the teams with the most guys in the top 100, schools I would have listed before Iowa: LSU, A&M, Alabama,
Georgia.
Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, USC, Penn State. I mean, there'd have been – I could have gone for an hour. I would have probably thought that Wisconsin had more offensive linemen than 5 in the top 10.
Yeah,
but
and
the
running
Iowa
backs.
Hawkeyes, and it's just someone needs to write an extensive book on this era of Iowa football with Kirk Ferentz, because from the wins and the Orange Bowls to the ridiculously low scores to the grossly unproductive offenses that were run by his son, who had a contract thing that had to score so many points per game and they couldn't get to it. They had an All-American punter called the Punt God, and like the whole thing is so very much unique that it needs to be documented. And I can promise, if it's been documented in book form, it will be more entertaining as a 2-week read than it was for the 16 years that he did it, or whatever the case may be. But it is it's fascinating that Iowa was there at number 5. Mississippi State, interestingly, comes in with 4 of them. Chris Jones, Dak Prescott leading the charge there. Those 2 dudes are pretty good. Chris Jones at number 14. But Georgia only has 3 guys in the top 100, which kind of shocked me. And would suggest they just had a lot of really good players.
Yeah.
Especially at the college level. Roquan Smith and Jalen Carter among the guys on the list.
Matt Stafford, I'm guessing, is probably the
Matt
other
Stafford
one.
was on the list as well. I saw that, so he wasn't
Which
listed.
is
in
kind of
this little
surprising
player.
though too to me, because
It is.
he hasn't played great and he was hurt. So
Then you got A&M with Myles Garrett, Mike Evans. I doubt Von Miller's still on there.
yeah, he might be on the bottom maybe.
Who would be the other A&M?
who else
Is
would be.
Matthews a good offensive lineman for Atlanta? Would he
I don't even know if
potentially be
he's
in the mix there? I'm not going to go through the whole list of 100 to see if I can get to A&M, but LSU hanging tight in there with 6 guys, second best in the country. All right, when we come back, let's see what we want to do here. I've got some College World Series thoughts that we'll get to. The numbers here are pretty jarring. I'm not stunned by them, but I'm a little disappointed in them. And we'll talk about it when we come back on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Saw a notification from the National Hurricane Center today. There is the first named storm of the season out in the Gulf. It's going to hit Mexico, and it's headed west, and it won't affect us, but inevitably that stuff happens in this part of the world. We just know that. How about giving yourself the peace of mind before the storm comes that you don't have to worry about power outages? That's what the folks at Boudreaux's Electric are here to do. Neil and Melissa have been running the shop down there in Napoleonville for 40 years. Now their son, Justin, right there is the sales manager, and they will take great care of you. I'm never going to tell you about a VIP package over at Boudreaux's, because every customer is going to get the exact same high level of care and attention. That's what they give you at Boudreaux's Electric. They give you that peace of mind with that Generac standby generator to know that you're not going to have to deal with power outages in the event of a storm. Whether you're riding out the storm and the power goes out and you just want to make sure the power is on, or you evacuate like we have to sometimes, you don't want to come back to a house with no power, that's 98 degrees, that's dark, and everything in the fridge and freezer is spoiled. You can prevent that with the folks at Boudreaux's Electric getting you set up with a Generac home standby generator. And every single Generac generator you buy from Boudreaux's come with a 7 to 10 year warranty. How about more peace of mind? No power, and if something goes wrong, they're going to take care of you. That's my friends at Boudreaux's Electrical.
Get the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge app powered by Bayou Ford and tap the microphone icon to send us your thoughts in an audio message. Your message could be played on air during Off the Bench with Esther and T-Bob, The Hunt Palmer Show, and after further review with Matt Moscone.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play. Safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction.
Thursday edition of Live at Lunch, live at the original Walk-Ons on Burbank. We're loaded down with guests, getting you ready for the weekend. 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., Live at Lunch, live at Walk-Ons on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So I was looking at the College World Series today and looking up, and I still see Kentucky still alive. They're not anymore, but they were this morning. And Tennessee was still alive. Florida's still alive. A&M still alive. God, it's just an all SEC affair with Florida State. And it felt that way at the end of last year too. And so I started thinking, I wonder how many SEC teams have been in the field over the last 5 years and what that math looks like. And it's one of those exercises that I get caught up in every once in a while. And sometimes the math and the research works the way I thought it would, just from memory. And sometimes it tells a little bit different story. And so I'll share with you what I discovered going back over the last 5 College World Series fields. I don't know that was intentional. It's just a fairly round number. I actually think the year before Arizona and Coastal played, so this could be perceived, I guess, as kind of making my own history, but I didn't do it on purpose. It is what it is. I went back over the last 5 College World Series fields. It's 8 teams a year. Easy math. There's 40 teams that have qualified for the College World Series. So I started looking back at the SEC. And in 2024, which is this year, Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida, A&M all made it. You had 4. It was split 4 and 4 between the SEC and the ACC. Last year, when LSU was in the College World Series, you had LSU, you had Florida, you had Tennessee, but you also had 2 ACC teams. You had a Big Ten team, you had a Pac-12 team, and you had Big 12 team and Oral Roberts. In 2022, the SEC had 4 teams in: Auburn, Ole Miss, Arkansas, A&M. Remember that A&M got in and won that one. Ole Miss got in and won that one. 2021, you had Vandy, Tennessee, and Mississippi State. Mississippi State won the title. In 19, you had Arkansas, Auburn, Missouri, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt. I can't even read my own writing. It's pathetic. But the point is, I've started to rattle through this and look through, and the SEC has claimed 18 of the 40 bids over the last 5 years. The ACC has claimed 11. So between those two, 29 of 40 bids. The Big 12 has had 5. The Pac-12 has had 4. And the Big 10 has had 1. Plus, you've had Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts is the only quote-unquote Cinderella, unless you want to title Michigan that, which is fine. They're from the Big 10. It's a Power 5 league, but you don't really have that in college baseball. So, again, the SEC with 18 of 40. The ACC with 11 of 40. The Big 12 with just 5. The Pac-12 with 4. And the Big 10 with 1. And then you have Oral Roberts. That's your makeup of 40 teams. But I wanted to take it one step further. Let's go to next season. Because we know that Texas and Oklahoma are leaving the Big 12 for the SEC. We know that Stanford is joining the ACC and the Pac-12 is dissolving. We know that Arizona is going to the Big 12. And there's a lot of moving parts here to college baseball. So what if I took that 5 years of data that I just went through and applied all of those teams we were looking at to what conference they'll play baseball in 2025? This is where the numbers get to be, in my estimation, disappointing. I'm moving Texas and Oklahoma out of the Big 12 to the SEC. That means the SEC has had 21 of the 40 bids. That's over 50% over 5 years. Not just 1 year where they had 50% this year. If I go to 5 years, they got more than half the teams in. Now I'm moving Stanford into the ACC. They've been 3 times over these 5 years. Now all of a sudden the ACC has had 14 of the 40 bids. Add those together, SEC and ACC. We know they got 100% this year. That is 35 out of 40 bids for the SEC and ACC as of the 2025 season. I've added Texas and Oklahoma and Stanford into this calculation. 35 out of 40 from those two leagues. I take Texas and Oklahoma out of the Big 12. I add Arizona to the Big 12. They've had TCU. They've had Texas Tech, and Arizona made one. That's 3 of 40 bids from the teams that will make up the Big 12 next year. Pac-12 doesn't exist. And all of a sudden you look up and Oral Roberts is the one outlier previously. That is some jarring stuff. There is no Cal State Fullerton. There is no UC Irvine. Oregon State, I don't believe, will survive this. We'll see what happens to UCLA. We'll see what happens to Stanford. Do players really want to go there in realization that they're going to have to fly across the country 5 times? Maybe. But Stanford was bad this year. And I just had Derek Curiel on yesterday. And he said, look, California high school baseball is the best in the country. And guys like me that are at the top of it want to go to the Southeast. And for some, the allure of playing at home will be a lot. Mom and dad can come see me play easily. I can get home easily. This is where I've grown up. I like the weather out here. I'm going to play here. But for more, you're going to see this shift just get bigger and bigger. And even if somebody plays out west and has a monster year, you're probably going to want to test yourself against the best. And that's when Gage Jump leaves and comes to LSU. That's when Braden Montgomery leaves and comes to LSU. That's when Jacob Berry leaves and comes to LSU. That's when Thatcher Hurd leaves and comes to LSU. This, to me, is so exciting for us from March 14th to June 1st because we get to see such elite levels of baseball. We get to see Wyatt Langford and Paul Skeens, who are on the big league's doorstep. We get to see Dylan Cruz. We get to see Jack Caglione, who just hit his 75th home run in college, program record at Florida. And he's going to be in the big leagues, I think, pretty quickly as an offensive player. And that's awesome. But there's a part of me that's sad to go up to Omaha and play 5 games against Tennessee and Florida. To see a bracket that is 3/4 SEC teams. We already played that all year. I miss Fullerton. I'd like Oregon State to be there. I'm good with Stanford coming in a different style of play and different players that I haven't seen all year. I just don't think Kyle Schwarber's going to play for Indiana much longer. He was there in 2013 when LSU was there, and I was like, oh my God, this guy's incredible. And the Cubs took him in the first round, and he was a World Series hero. That part of this thing is not going to be there very much longer. It's gone, and I shouldn't even say that. It's gone. 35 out of 40 over 5 years from 2 leagues? That's not coincidence. That's the state of the sport. And it's just going to be really difficult for Coastal Carolina to get back. Because the second their first baseman hits 340 with 19 homers as a sophomore, he's going to play for Georgia. And I'm not hating on the transfer portal. It gives guys incredible opportunities. It's very difficult for me to suggest that the transfer portal is really bad because Paul Skeens could have what happened in his life over the last 2 years. It's very difficult for me to suggest that Gage Jump didn't progress coming from one place to another, or that Braden Montgomery shouldn't be allowed to come to Texas A&M. It's tough for me to say that some of these lower-level guys that LSU's brought in shouldn't have an opportunity to test themselves against the next Hagen Smith, the next Jack Caglione. That's good for their draft stock. They might get some money in their back pocket. It's really comfy flying charter jets and staying in nice hotels. That's all good stuff. But it does bum me out that 35 of the last 40 teams to qualify for the College World Series are going to be playing in 2 leagues next year. In the Big 12, 3 of 40? Like, that's not a power league. That's 3 teams. So what does that mean for Oklahoma State's future? TCU's future? What does that mean for Texas Tech's future? They've had really good baseball teams. Kansas State was good this year. Is that conference going to become just a complete stair step on the way to the ACC and SEC? I don't know why it wouldn't be. And I don't want to play Mississippi State every time I'm up there. I don't want to play Florida every time I'm up there. I don't want to play Vanderbilt every time I'm up there. I'd like to see somebody else. And Beck, you brought this up a little bit earlier, like maybe this is exactly where things are headed with football as well. Now with that, I have less of a problem because I just feel like there are less teams physically that can compete. But there were more teams, like Cal State Fullerton didn't exist in college football. Neither did UC Irvine, neither did Wichita State. Coastal Carolina never won the football national championship. And football was destined to be like that forever. I don't know that baseball had to be this way, but money has made it this way.
Yeah, I think the only sport that will be able to survive from this is basketball.
Yeah.
I think that's the only because you would have thought baseball possibly, but it's like we had Derek Curiel on yesterday, and he said the guys, they want to go compete where the best players are, and it's in the SEC. So, you know, even if there were guys that wanted to go to a USC or even a Cal State Fullerton or any other school in the West Coast,
Arizona State and Arizona both won 5 titles.
Yeah, but nobody wants to go there anymore.
Nope. Come on down to Baton Rouge, I guess. Portal's open. Talk some football coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Every shot, every goal, ESPN Bet has fans covered for the biggest moments on the road to the championship. The exclusive sportsbook of ESPN is the only place to find special offers and promotions from your favorite ESPN shows and personalities throughout the playoffs. New users get a bet reset up to $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. So download ESPN Bet today. What a play. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 in partnership with LeBares Lake Charles. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's AFR, presented by Pluckers. MLB Draft Combine going on. We'll tell you how the Tigers are doing. Plus, it's a Whiskey Wednesday, Pluckers Trivia. Lots to do. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Join 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge at the Texas Club this Friday night for Rockstar Search, Battle of the Louisiana Bands presented by Parrish Construction and Roofing. We've chosen 5 incredible bands from throughout the state to battle it out for a chance to open for Kenny Wayne Shepherd at his July 13th show at the Raising Cane's River Center. Doors open at 7 and the first band will go on 8. Tickets are just $20 at the door. For tickets and other information, visit thetexasclub.com.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Summertime's a good time for grades, huh? You don't have to worry about grades if you're a kid, but if you're an NFL franchise, you got to worry about grades. And Seth Walder was handing them out for ESPN.com. He's part of their analytics department over there at ESPN. And he graded every NFL team's offseason now that's bordering on complete. It's not complete. There's still certainly a lot of signings that will go on, but a lot of the free agency trades, certainly all the draft picks are in the rearview mirror. And so I wanted to see what Walder thought about the New Orleans Saints. You get the sense that most people aren't over the moon thrilled with the New Orleans Saints. What does Seth Walder think? Well, He gives them a D. D is not good. I had a few of those in college. He said the biggest move was drafting offensive tackle Taliese Fuanga in the first round. Move I liked, signing defensive end Chase Young. Move I disliked, failing to trade veterans. And that is the genesis of this D grade, as he writes in the blog. I'll just kind of go through his thoughts, and then I'll add my color to it on the back end. Said the Saints are addicted to mediocrity, and because of that, they failed to improve their future selves this offseason. I personally think that's on the right track when we're talking about long-term for this team. I'm kind of on the same page as Walter here. This is what he writes. Their salary cap situation is bad. According to roster management, the Saints have $15 million in cap space despite quarterback Derek Carr. Now listen to these names. Derek Carr, Marshawn Lattimore, Cam Jordan, Taysom Hill, Ryan Ramczyk, Demario Davis, Eric McCoy, Tyrann Mathieu, Carl Granderson, all of those guys. That's basically all the most proven veterans on the team. Have a base salary under $1.5 million to keep their 2024 cap hits very low. He continues, that's exactly why the team is $77.6 million over the salary cap in 2025 currently. That is $50 million more than any other team. A team could maybe justify this process if it was in a championship window, but that is not the Saints, he writes. And I'll interject here my thoughts. Like, that's pretty much where we all are. Like, the Saints were geniuses for this process when it was the right thing to do. Now that it's not, it just kind of feels like you're trying to throw punches in a straitjacket. Like, you're confined to this position and you can't get out of it. And that's why things have to change. And I think they have changed a little bit this offseason, but we'll continue on with what he wrote. He said the team ought to be shedding as much salary as it can and converting the low salary players into draft capital via trades to jumpstart a full rebuild. Instead, the Saints are running it back with a 9-8 team led by Derek Carr. The team's big move in free agency was signing Young to a one-year fully guaranteed $13 million deal. That's a move I liked. Young had an above-average pass rush win rate at 19% last year as an edge rusher, and he could be a productive player for New Orleans in 2024, then potentially land them a compensatory pick for signing elsewhere in free agency next year. And because Ramczyk's knee is not recovering, they had to take a tackle at number 14 overall. Okay, that's a lot of words, but it's basically how I feel. And I would push back on they should have been shedding as much salary as in converting the low salary players into draft capital. I don't disagree with that sentiment, certainly. But what I will tell you is Dennis Allen would have thrown a fit if that was the case. Because, as we well know, he's only got one more chance. This is it for him. If you throw up all of yourself in Oakland at the time for the Raiders and don't get it done and get fired, okay, well, bad quarterback situation, awful ownership situation, terrible facilities, bad organization, okay, it didn't work. And then you go to New Orleans, which above all else prioritized continuity in the organization, an organization that had had a run of sustained success, and that doesn't work. Well, at this point, you now have proven you can't do it under terrible circumstances, and you can't do it under stable circumstances. Nobody else in the league is going to run that back with Dennis Allen. This is it. So Mickey Loomis going to the table and going, hey, man, we're going to ditch Cam Jordan, Lattimore, Taysom Hill, Demario Davis, and Tyrann Mathieu. We'll recoup, a slew of 5th and 6th rounders, and we'll balance the books a little bit. We're going to have some dead money as a result of this, so we won't be able to add to the shelves very much, and we'll have a real young team next year that is a little less expensive, and then we'll really move forward after that. Like, Dennis Allen's going to go, so you're going to ask me to go out there and go 4-13 and get fired? That doesn't work. And because of that, I was always fascinated at the dynamics that the Saints organization was going to be working through in this offseason. Dennis Allen's got to go to keep his gig, and the Saints don't have anywhere to go. They need to back up and offload all this stuff, but that would be very detrimental to Dennis Allen's roster. I think they've kind of struck a middle here, and I think in Dennis Allen's mind, if he can get a couple balls to go his way, well, he probably doesn't think this way. This is the way I think. If he can get a couple balls to bounce this way, get a couple turnovers, win 2 games you're not really supposed to, and find a way to go 9-8, then maybe you can stick around for another iteration of this roster reconstruction. But if it goes sideways in the first month, where they've got those really tough first 5 games, maybe that transition starts a little bit more quickly. But I agree in premise with this piece that they didn't completely tear it down to the studs. They were never going to do that. It was not feasible with Dennis Allen there. And the Saints have never shown that they want to do that. And that's why they're $77 million over next year's salary cap. And that's not to suggest, once again, that they won't get under that. They'll get under that with ease. But they're not doing it in a way that compromises teams down the road real significantly, the way they're compromised today because they were doing this 2 years ago. So to me, if you want to talk about the execution of everything and expect a huge roster turnover, sure, D's a fair grade because they didn't do that. But I would go closer to B because they didn't do what they always do and open up these salary situations later on in contracts. They've signed a bunch of 1-year deals, and they've kept it fairly between the buoys. They just are in such a situation that writing all of that is just not possible. So that's where they've got the Saints as a D. If you're curious about the rest of the Saints division, he wasn't thrilled with Atlanta either. He gave him a C-. He liked Kirk Cousins prior to drafting Michael Penix. He disliked drafting Penix at 8 under overall, which I don't think anybody really understands. But he wasn't wild about what Atlanta was able to do. With Tampa, your reigning division champion, he gave him a B. Liked the re-signing of Antoine Winfield, re-signing of Mike Evans at a bargain price. Did not like re-signing Baker Mayfield for $40 million guaranteed. I think there are a lot of people that are curious if Baker Mayfield can replicate a really strong performance last year. That kind of remains to be seen. And then Carolina gets a B-. It's hard to go anywhere but up if you're Carolina at this point. Traded edge rusher Brian Burns. He thought that was the biggest move. Liked the move of trading for DeAndre Jackson. Did not like signing Robert Hunt to a $20 million deal. I always like bringing up Robert Hunt's name because my first name's Robert, my middle name is Hunt. And when the commissioner announced this drafting of Robert Hunt, he said, with the whatever selection, the Dolphins select Robert Hunt. That was as close as I'm ever going to get to being drafted. So that's a cool thing for me, but he didn't like it for the Panthers. So that'll be a look at the NFC South, which I don't think anybody thinks is all that great at this point. So there are your offseason grades for all 32 NFL teams right there on ESPN.com. If you want our Saints content, you can certainly find it on YouTube at Hunt on Saints, all year round. When we come back, I'll get you set up for the evening in the College World Series, play some Take It or Leave It, and we'll be just about done. It is a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Look, pain and discomfort are inevitable, and certainly if you're an active person, that can happen, whether you're a youth athlete, gymnast, baseball, or high school athlete. Maybe you're a 60-year-old that loves playing pickleball or golf, but there have been some issues. Robbie Bolton and his team at Evolve Physical Therapy are here for you. One of the things he told us is, once I see you, I will see you forever. That's because it is the physical therapy clinic in Baton Rouge. If you've had a physical therapy experience that just wasn't good, you talked to the doc, they sent you to a physical therapy spot, there wasn't a lot of hands-on treatment, just, hey, do some exercises, we'll see you next week. It doesn't have to be that way. Robbie Bolton and his team are so hands-on. They love to do joint and soft tissue manipulation. That's massaging, dry needling, cupping, scraping, to get you back to feeling better and get you back to being your active self. Maybe you're a runner, been running for a lot of years. You just got some discomfort that's built up over time. Let Robbie Bolton and his team help you out. They're on Starring near Highland Road. They're online at evolvept.com. Again, the physical therapy clinic in town. If you're not feeling great and you want to get back to being your active self, you need physical therapy. You need Evolve Physical Therapy. Check them out online, evolvept.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends.
Thursday edition of Live at Lunch, live at the original Walk-Ons on Burbank. We're loaded down with guests, getting you ready for the weekend. 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Live at Lunch, live at Walk-Ons on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, they're about to throw the first pitch up in Omaha, game 2 of the day. And I will tell you, this is the game that you're very familiar with as a fan of LSU. This is the game, if you're Florida State, that LSU used Nate Ackenhausen in last year. And if Ackenhausen was able to, it was Griffin Herring in this spot. And if LSU could use this game to win with Griffin Herring and Javen Coleman, then you get Paul Skeens on the mound to send you to the championship game. We saw Alex Lang in this spot in 2017, and he was sensational against Oregon State, and Caleb Gilbert did it the next night. If Florida State can beat Tennessee today, they can throw Jamie Arnold tomorrow. Now, Tennessee hit Jamie Arnold back in the opener, and he's their best pitcher, and Tennessee knocked him around a little bit, but he still presents a threat. The issue for Florida State is they're sending a freshman to the mound who has started 3 games in his college career and hasn't pitched in 3 weeks. So Florida State is going to have to find a way to win this game offensively or get an outing that they could not have foreseen. That's the Caleb Gilbert, that's the Griffin Herring, Javen Coleman thing. So we'll see if they can do it. That's the path for Florida State. Last year, LSU got the ball to Skeens. Now, they had to face Louder, but they got the ball to Skeens, and they were able to win that game and get into the championship series. That's what we're hoping for here. It's a long way to hoe for Florida State. For Florida, they've got their work cut out against them against Texas A&M. But we'll see. That's the situation from a pitching perspective. Florida State's going to probably have to try to win this one. 11-10. If they can do that, they can hand the ball to their ace tomorrow. We'll just see if they get there. All right, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Alrighty, first one here. Willie Mays is the greatest baseball player ever. Of course, he fortunately passed away yesterday. Take it or leave it.
You know, that's tough. I don't have a hard time taking it. Like, I think you can take it.
I'll take it.
I don't know that Mike Trout or Ronald Acuna or Barry Bonds wouldn't look even better than that if you plugged them into that situation. But understanding the tools that Willie Mays had at his disposal and comparing him to his peers at the time, you can absolutely make the case he's the greatest baseball player ever. I heard a great stat from Paul Hembekides earlier on ESPN's national programming that said, like, during his time, only 100 so players stole 300 bases like Willie Mays did. And none of them, other than Mays, hit more than 150 home runs, and Mays hit 660.
Yeah.
So, like, he was the first guy who would hit a bunch of home runs and steal bases and play great defense. At that time, you were either, like, second baseman or the shortstop who laid down bunts, or you were the first baseman or the right fielder who hit a bunch of home runs. And Mays did both. And I do, based on my limited understanding of North California weather, which was all of 3 days of my life that I've spent in Northern California, that was in February, and it was a high of about 55. And they played the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach later that summer, and it was a high of about 55. And it's cold, and the wind blows, and hitting 660 home runs, playing that many year games in Candlestick Park with massive dimensions and all that is really wild, and he probably would have hit 750 if he played in a normal ballpark. But, the thing that I think I like about Willie Mays, from if you're talking about, like, all-time stuff, is if you see videos and pictures of him from his prime, especially early in his prime, he looks physically like a lot of our athletes today. I don't know that Bob Cousy looks a ton like Derrick Rose and Russell Westbrook.
Not really.
That doesn't really coordinate. Babe Ruth doesn't look a ton like Mike Trout, but Mays did. He was chiseled and fit and wiry, and like I think he translates pretty good. I don't have any problem saying he's the best baseball player of all time.
All right, moving on here. The Detroit Pistons fired head coach Monty Williams 1 year after signing him to a 6-year, $78 million contract, which means Detroit will be on the hook for the $65 million remaining, eating $65 million to fire a coach after 1 year. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. I mean, there are so many issues with this hiring and firing and contract. One, why are we guaranteeing $68 million of a contract? Two, why are we firing a guy 1 year into that? Three, what did you think was going to happen when you put that team on the floor? Are we suggesting that they were only a 14-win team because of Monty Williams? You think they were going to win 40 without him? They're atrocious. I don't. That's a disaster.
Yeah, it's very confusing to me when teams like this hire a coach, and then they hire him for a 6-year deal. So you're thinking, okay, we expect that it won't go well the first few years.
We know we're not good.
Yes, and we're hoping that after a few years you can turn this thing around. But they fire him after 1 year, and we've seen other NBA teams do this. It doesn't make any sense to me. And now you're going to be having to. I'm assuming they're expecting him to be working again within the next few years, which will, I guess, possibly void that money. But
and here's the other thing about the NBA. In what other sport would you have the worst record in the league? A dumpster fire, fired after 1 year, and immediately everyone's like, "Well, the Lakers should hire him."
Yeah.
Like that. If an NFL team went 1-17, went 2-16, and got fired, they wouldn't be like, "Well, the Cowboys really need to hire that guy." Like, that doesn't happen in any other sport except the NBA, which to me tells me I'm not super over the moon about what the coaches are doing.
I think it's more of an indictment on the Pistons and just how horribly they've been run the last few years. All right, moving on here. The Florida Gators men's basketball team signed Olivier Rioux from IMG Academy. He is 7'9", broke the Guinness World Record for tallest teenager. Take it or leave it.
I got to take that, I guess.
I'll take it.
Look, Arkansas had a player, I can't recall his name. He transferred to Missouri. Connor something. I can't remember his last name.
He was tall.
He was like 7'5" or something, and just simply couldn't play defense. Like, he just can't move. You can't move. And in this era, like, it would have been fine if you were playing in 1986 when all the centers stood on the block and went and tried to shoot a hook shot. But now all the centers shoot threes. Well, now you got to go play pick and roll defense, and like, it just doesn't works. So 7'9", probably awesome in high school. By the way, if you're 7'9" in high school, how do you not average 95 a game?
Yeah, I don't know about that. It's kind of confusing.
How do you defend that?
Yeah.
I can tell you the 2005 Loyola Flyers would have had real problems with the 7'9" guy. We'd have had some real issues.
All right, last one real quick here. The state of Kansas is making a play to lure the Chiefs and the Royals to the state of Kansas from Missouri.
From Missouri.
Take it or leave it.
Take it. I don't know much about the politics of Kansas City. I know it straddles the line. I've eaten barbecue in Kansas City on the way to Omaha back in 2009. But if it's worse for the Cardinals... Oh, no, this is Chiefs and Royals. Never mind. If anything's worse for the Cardinals, if we can make it worse for the Cardinals in some way based on how this works, we'll do that.
Don't think it will affect them, unfortunately.
Tennessee is already up 1-0 on Florida State. They have the Seminoles have recorded 1 out, and there's 1 run in and 2 base runners on. It's not going awesome for the Noles, but let's hope that they bring their bats and can get to tomorrow where they can throw Jamie Arnold at the bulbs. We'll see. We'll be talking about it tomorrow either way. If you missed any of today's show, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place. The Hunt Palmer Show.
Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guaranteed